You're listening to Radio Primavera Sound, proudly presented by Cupra.
This week's guest on Line Noise is the inestimable DJ Hell, a German producer, DJ, label boss, and so much more, who started DJing in 1978, released his first single, the all-time classic My Definition of House Music, in 1992, helped to invent trance music, definitely invented electroclash, and still has time to be an ambassador for the 2024 European Football Championships. We talked about Kraftwerk, our own definitions of house music, the importance of a good name, Ukraine, and so much more. I hope you enjoy our conversation.
Actually, I wanted to, if you didn't mind, I wanted to take things back right to the start, because there's a quote about you that I think is used quite often, which is that you were socialized with German electronic music of the 60s and 70s. And what really stayed with me is the word socialized. What do you mean by that exactly?
Yeah, I was born countryside near Munich. I think in early years when I was a kid, I was connected already with Kraftwerk, like in the early 70s. And they touched me immediately and influenced the rest of my life, basically. I think I heard Kraftwerk first time when I was maybe 8, 9, or 10 years, and then I was absolutely fascinated by this new sound and electronic kind of music and new concepts and new ideas. So, schön. Before I even realized I will be in the music business or being a musician or producer or label head, that was, that's what I tried to say when I mentioned I was socialized with electronic music. And I mean, the funny thing is with the Krautrock name and this like stamp for the German early, they call it cosmic music, electronic music. So I think it was from the English press. Somebody named it like Krautrock. I mean, there's even a journalist who found that name, and it was more like a funny term of finding something for this new German music. And the German are also well known as the Krauts because we eat a lot of sauerkraut. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, but this is like part of the story with the Kraftwerk thing, and then I was very influenced with English bands who are trying to copy Kraftwerk. In the late 70s, all this new wave, new romantic, punk, electronic mixture, Cabaret Voltaire, Heaven 17, Human League, early Ultravox. So this was the story about socializing with electronic music and try to analyze the music, try to understand the music, love the music, try to do it my own way, start becoming a DJ, and then going into the studio, find out what equipment they're using, and so on and so on,
I mean, I absolutely love Kraftwerk, and I came to them in the 90s. I can't even really imagine what it must have been like hearing them in the 70s and 80s.
We were driving in a car at night for hours on the Autobahn and listening to Autobahn. And we were listening at home, and it was like a big impact into my little world in a countryside town, So I never thought I will meet the guys and I will even play with them on festivals or open for them some shows at some festivals in Spain at Monegros, or I opened for them in a Sonar festival in Barcelona, and later on I become kind of friends with them, and we did also the first shows in museums before they went deeper into that sections. We did a show in a Kunstmuseum in Munich together. So there was, a dream come true for me to meet these people and on a regular level, on a hotel, and find out that they're not real robots, that they are real humans. So that influenced me until today. I'm working on a So I jump a little forward. I'm working on an album with a painter. His name is Jonathan Mese, and it's the second album I do with him and his mother, Brigitte Mese. She's 96 years old, and the album is totally conceptual, based on a digital Kraftwerk version.
Okay.
It will be totally sound like Kraftwerk. I found a formula how to sound like Kraftwerk, not to copy them. And I will try to do an album that if you don't know or people have no idea, just listen to it. Hopefully think this could be a new Kraftwerk track. So this painter is doing lyrics, the mother is doing lyrics and talking, and not like singing, so it's more like an art project. And for that, I thought, if I'm gonna release this, I need to talk to Kraftwerk to get the proof or to get the go for releasing it. I just don't want to do an album influenced by them or inspired by them and just releasing them and maybe they don't like the concept or idea. So I was thinking I'm gonna call Ralph and meet him and gonna play him the album in Düsseldorf, somewhere in a cafe or somewhere, and get his approval for releasing it. Seriously, no joke.
Do you know how jealous you're making me? I'm so jealous.
Oh, why?
I'd love to meet Kraftwerk. I'd love to meet Ralph one day, but it's probably not.
I think he's not really doing interviews, and I mean they're doing great new live shows in big castles and outside shows for like 20 in front of 30,000 people now. I think they were in Vienna on the weekend, and they do a lot of shows in big castles and outdoor situations, not like festivals. It's like a huge new production and new visuals and updated digital versions of their songs. It's never the same because people always wondering why they not releasing new stuff. But all the music they do, everything is always updated and a new version. So it's a lot of work. I'm gonna change my position. Sorry.
It's fine. So I wanted to ask you, you've been DJing since 1978.
Yeah.
What is the most important thing you've learned about DJing?
Yeah, that's a big question. I just saw a vote recently where a DJ said back in the days, the DJs watch the crowd, how they're dancing, and now the dancers watching the DJ, how he's performing. It's turned around. So the biggest lesson or the biggest what was the question?
Yeah, the most important thing you've learned about DJing.
I would call myself an old school DJ, where I learned the techniques and the performance from a hip hop DJ like Red Alert and Chuck Chillout in New York. I went there to watch them, and because before house and acid and techno, there was a lot of great hip hop DJs, and I was many years I was also playing hip hop and rap music from the States, from LA, New York, and that's I come from this kind of area where you have two turntables and a mixer and maybe a mic, so that was like the original DJ format. And I think I'm still trying to copy that technique or that way of working with the USB and the pioneers and the new equipment and all the effects. I try to copy this way of innovative mixing and bringing music together and create something new or unique. It's like an old school way of thinking and an old school way of DJing. But what I learned most importantly, one thing, I mean, there's many, I can give you a top 100 list one day, but I would see it's important to read the crowd, to understand, and that is possible when you have all this knowledge over all this year. You don't have to think about it. You just look at it and you feel the connection, or you feel the atmosphere, or you feel the spirit, or you feel the sequences, you feel the connection, and that's all coming automatically, but that needs a lot of years to understand that and filter it and then make the right decision. So that's maybe what I mean if I say you have to read the crowd. I don't think about it. It's all coming automatically. I stand there. Sometimes I have a concept and I think about going in one direction at this festival or club, and I enter the stage and I immediately knew this will not work out here tonight. At the moment, I have to come up with something totally different. So that's. I know a lot of DJs nowadays, they prepare their sets. Even the list of, like, say, 2-hour set, you have like 30 songs or maybe 25 songs, and they make a list from the first to the last record, and then they let it go, But I don't think it's possible to prepare a set. It's always the moment, You have to understand what's going on. You have to connect with the room, with the people. It's important how you feel. What's the atmosphere? All these things, And I'm glad that have this experience that I don't have to think about it. It's all coming automatically. Wow, I'm outside in Austria, and it's somebody died, and they have a funeral in front of me.
Oh,
it's pretty scary. I see the people, and I see. Wow, I don't know what. Wow, I didn't know that they just come up and they took it out of a car, and it's in the middle of a little town in Austria, in the center, and so all these people who know the guy, I think he was they're all dressed like traditional clothes, but it's in the middle of in the center of this town, and you hear the bells ringing.
No, I don't know. No.
Oh, sorry, that was for the dead guy. So it's a celebration going on now. Okay, I have to ignore it. I don't know what it means. It's just in front of me. I can't show you. Okay, let's go on.
So I wanted your new single is called My House. Excellent single. And your very first single was called My Definition of House Music. Is it a callback to that, to your new single, in a way?
What do you mean, back to back?
Well, as in, like, were you thinking a little bit of your first single, or is it just coincidence?
I think there's a big connection to my first single in 92, 93, because it was called My Definition of House Music. And now, 30 years later, I'm doing a track called My House is Your House and Your House is Mine. I mean, it's a sample of an old 90s record, but I really love the sample and the vocals, so I used it again. And I was in the studio trying to put things together, and I started with this My House is Your House sample, and then there was sometimes this magic happening, and everything you try and you use is fitting perfectly. And I had this magic on that production, that everything came together automatically. I don't know where that comes from. Maybe from my experience, or maybe from my ideas, or sometimes you don't know. It's even if you listen to Rick Rubin when he tried to tell you or understand how to create music or where it comes from. Sometimes it's magic.
So what is house music?
So it's 100%. Sorry,
no, please go on.
It's 100%. Oh wow! Now I think they play music now. Sorry. Okay, let's go on. It's a funeral. You hear the drums?
No, I wish I could.
Okay, sorry. So it's definitely a connection.
So all right,
to the early. Sorry, I have to see what's going on. To my first single, and I would say it's the definition of house music in 2024, but it still sounds like early analog house music, when house music was created with only analog gear, with drum computers and analog keyboards, and there was no digital recording or anything. So I think I kept that vibe, kind of used this old school sample, but also brought some new digital flavor in there. And so maybe that's my definition of house music in 2024.
So it's an obvious question then, but what is house music for you?
We had, in the early 90s, we had a very funny definition, but I would still go for that formula. We said techno is Roland 909 and house music is Roland 808.
That works?
Huh?
That works, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't work anymore, but in the early 90s, that was the definition. It's going to be loud here in the background because it's this funeral going on, but we keep going on. This is like drum. Do you hear the drums?
I heard something.
Yeah. There's a celebration here. Sorry, I can't move anywhere. I mean, I'm stuck here.
It's all good.
So maybe I don't know what it means. You know, we do a interview where this traditional groups are playing drums, and I think there will be trumpets in the. Okay, let's go on. If you hear me clearly, we're gonna go on.
Yeah. So another genre of music. So I've been looking back at your history before doing this, and something I totally didn't remember that you did was that you worked for Logic Records, and in fact you compiled the first trance compilation, Logic Trance, back in 1992. What was trance music to you?
It was a very new genre into electronic music, and trance was a special feeling, and it was suddenly very emotional, very melodic, very deep. Fuck, they're screaming here. Okay, so and trance was, I don't know who found the term. I mean, it already says you're going into trance or you're going into another physical, whatever kind of situation when you listen to the music, maybe also in combination with chemical substances, you know. And in the early 90s, there was a new genre coming up. A lot of music were produced in Belgium, Holland, also America, also England, of course. And suddenly it became something where you put a name on top of it, you know. So I thought, why not? The name I didn't found you. Somebody said it's trance, you know. So I said, why not doing a compilation and find all this new innovative trance music producers and records and put it on a compilation and let the world know there's something fresh coming up and something really deep, melodic, emotional, I did this compilation and still very proud of it because, I mean, there was some tracks on it that were, I would not call trance now, like Beloved or some other stuff, but it just fitted in that moment. So I was collecting all this music because in 92, 91, all techno DJs and techno DJs were playing trance music suddenly, many of them. So you had like a hard techno set and suddenly you went into like a trance section and the trance records were like 8 minutes, 10 minutes long, really build up intro, long middle part, a lot of strings, a lot of melodic, very emotional, very touchy, very, very great music. And it went maybe too successful and then the commercial side of humans break through and it went into something bad taste, you know, when for many years, like in the mid or end 90s, when you say I play some trance, it was like, you know, they were like, why you do that? You know, it's not cool anymore. It's not innovative. It's like, it's gone. It's like popular music for, I don't know, for idiots. Okay, sorry. No. Yeah.
And one thing I'm very glad to see on that record, there's the Shaman, who I think are very, very
Shaman,
underrated bands. I love the Shaman.
Yeah, I like Mr. C and I became really good friend with him when he started his DJ career. So I like the Shaman when they combine like rock music and electronic music, and was really like very innovative in the beginning when they start doing their thing. I really like them.
Yeah. So taking things slightly forward, 1996, you launched International DJ Gigolo Records.
Yeah.
Which is an incredibly important label. I mean, how important was it for you?
I mean, after I was A&R, but with Logic Records, I thought to myself, I know how to deal in the music business, and I know all the ways to release a record and produce it, and marketing and promotion, and I also worked with, because on Logic it was owned by the people of Snap. So Luca Ancelotti and Michael Münzing, the producers of Snap, they run the label, and it was like also Logic were releasing Snap albums, and Rhythm is a Dancer, I've Got the Power, all this stuff. So I was really deep in this like business side of the music, and after that I left the label. I said, that's not me. I'm more like an artist. I'm more like a DJ. I'm more like a producer. I will never do my own label. When it was 93, and then in 96 it changed, because I was traveling with Jeff Mills a lot. We were DJing a lot in Europe and all around the world, and he told me on a long flight, I think back from Japan or somewhere, he said, "Hell, it's time to start your own label." And I said, "Yeah, maybe you're right." And I think he was pushing me to do it. And then I had already some records that were not released, and I said, "Okay, I gotta start with the catalog number one, and I will release some friends of mine on the A side, and B side is another friend of mine, and I'm gonna do only vinyl, and it will be not promoted. And if you want to play it, you have to go to the shop and buy it. You have to find it. I will not do any DJ promotion or anything. Just buy it and enjoy it." That was the thought of Gigolo in 1996, but it changed immediately, because the second record was unreleased stuff from Jeff Mills and like Shifty Disco and other he gave me 4 tracks just for that. He said, if it helps for your label, you can have it, And I released it, and immediately Gigolo record was in the shops, and a lot of people wants to buy it. And then I had the third record, the fourth record, Chris Corda. I think it was 4 to 5. It was Save the Planet, Kill Yourself. It gets a lot of attention. Then I had Christopher Just from Vienna. His track was called "I'm a Disco Dancer and a Sweet Romancer." And then we had Zombie Nation, Kernkraft 400, and it exploded immediately. After 1 year, I really changed the whole attitude, and I said, I can't do this. Okay. Now they're playing the music for the funeral. You hear it?
No, I only hear you. It's all right.
Okay, cool. Okay, I hear it. So I said, I need to change this, because I have so many great music and material. I need to change this attitude for not doing marketing and promotion. So I had the concept of doing press offices, or working with press offices in Barcelona, in London, in Paris, Munich, Berlin, and New York City. And if there's a new release, I'm gonna push the button and will send it to the offices, and they will spread it out to the DJs and the clubs, and everybody should know what is gonna be released and what it sound like, and everybody should play it. And from that moment on, it exploded. There was no holding back. There was Tiga Sunglasses at Night. There was Vitalik La Rock. There was Bobby Condas. There was Doppler Effect. There was Puff Daddy. I mean, yeah, you know the story. It was kind of. And then the electroclash hype came suddenly out of nowhere, and it was really incredible time around 2000, 2002, where Gigolo was totally going over the top. There was no limit.
See, I thought Electroclash was really interesting, because you'd obviously been DJing for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
that time. You were well established. And then suddenly you were a pioneer of a new sound.
Yeah.
Was that strange for you?
The thing was, after electroclash went so popular, even once everybody jumped on it, every fashion show played electroclash. It was electroclash everywhere, really kind of out of control over 1 or 2 years. So all my artists on Gigolo said, we don't want to be connected with this label called electroclash. We are not electroclash. And in 2002, I said to everybody, when it was on the peak, I said, this will be the last record. It will sound like electroclash. I'm going to change the A&Ring. I'm going to change the release plan. I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to follow the new wave of New York with James Murphy with LCD sound system and Rapture. And I will definitely not release any electroclash record again, But I mean, I founded the name, It was even my idea, because there was when there was a lot of releases. I thought, like this crowd rock journalist in England, I thought it needs a name because there's so many artists from Australia to Japan to Denmark to Germany to wherever in the world sending me this music, and it sounds like it has the same flavor. It sounds like it's connected. I need a name for that. So I said we're gonna do Electroclash festival in New York, and I think that was 99 maybe. I can't remember exactly. And the organizer from the festival was a guy called Larry T. And he was not a DJ or producer or anything. He was just a party promoter. And in the that's a funny story. I said, let's do a festival. You are able to rent the place and do the sound system and lighting and everything. And I'm gonna host the artists and bring it to New York, and let's give it a name. So I said we call it Electroclash, and when we tried to organize this, he jumped totally into my area, and he tried to bring a lot of artists there who were not connected with Gigolo and not connected with Electroclash. It was just like fake bands, and who tried to jump on this famous genre, and just to get some money out of it. And then I said, this is too much. I can't, it's not, I gonna jump out of this idea. And he did the festival with some artists I even can't remember. And then later on, he claimed himself of the founder of Electroclash. It's kind of funny to me, because I found the name, and it was all released on Gigolo Records, and that's something for the music history books, that people still think that he's the godfather of Electroclash, but all the artists know that it was Gigolo, and I was the creator of the genre and even the name. So it went pretty much in the spotlight, and in 2002 we said I gonna go in another direction, and then I lived in New York for a while to get connected with the new scene, with the new flavor, with the, when LCD and Rapture coming into club music and nightlife, and it was all into like rock music again, like real drums, real guitar, connected with electronic music. It was a pretty new flavor, and I think it was very connected with early 90s no wave, 99 Records, ESG, all this early New York bands who had this new wave, no wave kind of sound. And in 2002, 2001, that sound was getting a new power behind it, and Rapture and LCD and all these new producers and bands were releasing their music on a label called, what's the name?
DFA?
Thank you. Yeah, DFA Records. So, yeah, that was that area. So, I mean, I think Electroclash had a big impact, because if you if you think about now, where all these younger DJs now playing this sounding or original electroclash records again, or let's say people like Red Access from England producing tracks, they would fit totally in this electroclash area. And a lot of this so-called indie dance music is sounding completely like early electroclash, And I think it had a big impact into the music scene, and because it was combining new wave, electronic music, rock and roll, guitar music, new wave, gothic, acid, techno, house, everything together, And I think it had to my understanding, it had a big impact. And now, 20 years later, it's coming again. If you go to parties, people love that music and play it again. And I'm happy about it. It feels great.
Well, this is one thing I find very interesting about Gigolo is that obviously it released great music, but it also had a very strong image. And frankly, Electroclash is a very good name. I mean, did you think much about it? Because you said, you're working for Logic, and then after that, you didn't really want to think about, marketing and that kind of thing. But how much did you think about the image and the name and things like that?
Yeah, you named it. With Logic, it was more like manipulating and getting it out and play their music system rules, And with Gigolo, I create new rules. And what I think it was right and was fitting in the time, and the marketing, the cover, the video, the performance, even the promo sheet, everything become important and everything become really, let's call it arty or like a new flavor. And I worked with a lot of graphical artists, video artists. We had like a lot of fashion designer do stage closes for performances. And I mean, when Fisher Spooner jumped inside, they totally changed a lot into how electronic band can be seen live or perform live on a new level, So there was so much impact and influences from art, fashion, and music, and that was always the big goal with Gigolo, with every cover, with every release, every remix, every promo sheet, every information that gets out of the office or gets out of the house of Gigolo was very important to me. So I was really controlling everything very, very strictly, let's say. And I was with the releases, I was very strict with like a no compromise formula for the music. I never released something because it was selling or it was fitting in something. It was just like, let's say, my personal taste, and sometimes I released music I knew they will not sell nothing, but it was like a logical process for the artist, and I was pushing this music even if I knew nobody will buy it. But I will push it. I was realizing it's important for the artist to go in this new, totally other direction, and I will support that, even if I lose money.
So I was going to say the Christopher Eust single is one of my favorite songs. I absolutely love it. Yes, I remember hearing Dave Clark play it. He played it at Bugged Out, and I think we all went to go and buy it the next day.
Yeah, he played it recently.
No, this is back in 1997 or something like that when it first.
I think Dave did a remix. I think so. I'm not sure, but I think he did a remix of Disco Dancer. I think.
Yeah, but do you have like a favorite Gigolo's record, or is that just impossible?
Yeah, this question and not hearing the first time, and I always said the next record is the most important, the upcoming one. But I would say, to me, maybe Doppler Effect album is important. Also, Tuxedo Moon, the first Half Mute album that was released on Residence label, and I got the rights to license it on vinyl. And then I went on tour with the Tuxedo Moon, with this avant-garde jazz band. I think Bobby Conder's a triple vinyl album was very important. Jeff Mills was important. Numbers of Names, first techno track ever. Charivari re-release with remixes, very important. Zombie Nation. I mean, seriously, to me, it's all my, you know, don't want to say babies, but I have a story for every release and why I did it and why it's important and why I released it. And of course, I have my personal favorites, but there was not one record I was not totally 100% behind it, So there's big stories behind every release. And now I'm working on a digital catalog and re-release all the material and also doing like new releases and remixes from older tracks with like a newer generation of producers. That's the plan now. I'm working on it right now.
Great. And last year you released a song called Ukraine, which is a very powerful song. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I didn't get the impact I hoped because it was a collage from Paul Hardcastle, and he was doing that it was an anti-war song against the Vietnam War, and the song was called 19, and it was number 1 in 13 countries in Europe. It sold over, I think, 30 million records, and it was 84 maybe.
Yeah.
Remember Hardcastle 19, and there was many versions. So I said, I'm gonna do my version as an anti-war song, and hopefully get attention like Paul Hardcastle did. And because I'm a big supporter of Ukraine and Kiev people and Kiev artists, and I thought I'm gonna release that, and I don't call it 19, I call it Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
So I sampled Zelensky, I sampled Biden, I sampled there was the first attack on Snake Island, and there were words recorded, the last words of 2 soldiers, and before they were dying, and I recorded that as well. And so it's a clear anti-war song and a protest song against a criminal act from Soviet Union or Russia starting a war against Ukraine. So, but the problem is I was doing this re-edit, like remix of Hardcastle, and YouTube and everybody banned it,
Right.
Because I don't have the copyrights, and I don't have, it was I thought it's gonna be out, and it will be also played for the soldiers who are fighting in front, as like a tune that they can connect, but I think a lot of people didn't hear it because it's banned everywhere, and that means a lot of people didn't hear it or listen to it. I mean, some, because I think I released it on my Instagram, but it didn't get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And I also a lot of misunderstanding. I was criticized, of course, from Russian people, but yeah, I did it. But let's see, maybe it will get more attention suddenly because somebody will release it on another platform, or because the funny thing, when Paul Hardcastle released it, it was, I think, Mike Oldfield sued him because he used the sample and a melody line from an old Mike Oldfield song, Paul Hardcastle. So I was thinking maybe Paul Hardcastle is gonna contact me and say, hey, you're using my music, or Mike Oldfield contact me and say, hey, you're using the same thing again, and it become more like a bigger story. But so far, I think a lot of people didn't realize that I did this anti-war song.
And you DJed in Kyiv at the end of 2023. What was that like?
I'm connected with the scene there, with the producers, with the clubs, with the people. I know many people there because I played there many times. I was part of an organization called Femen. It was a protest group from a female protest organization, and I was helping them for getting well known, and it started in 2008, 2009, called Femen. We did a lot of protests at the Maidan, and I was part of it, and I really played a lot of parties in Kiev and made a lot of press for them and getting well known and I mean they went pretty I don't want to say successful. There was female parts in all around the world, from Mexico to Germany to everywhere, and the organization is still very strong. So that was my first connection with organization in Kiev, and then I thought when the war starts, I need to go there and I need to build up my own picture of what's going on in Kiev and how they feel, how they live, what's everyday life, what's happening if the bombing starts. Yesterday Russia bombed a children's hospital in Kiev again, and I asked my people immediately what's going on. Are you okay and stuff? And I think there's a new offense planned now, and they will doing more bombings during the summer months, and it's a really like how can you say, it's like a really situation there's no way out at the moment, and everybody knows that. So I try to understand, go there, try to understand, play parties, talk to the people and find out what's really going on. And that was very important to me. And I mean, they asked me to go again. I was nearly agree on going again, but since they did this bombing yesterday and more attacks, I will not be able to go there right now, but I'm planning to go there again maybe in September.
Okay.
It's to support them,
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's a very, very big kind of change of subject. I wanted to ask about football, if I can.
Yeah. Okay, you can.
Because you're an ambassador for the European Championships, right?
True. The Deutsche Fußballbund, DFB, called me to support and jump into promoting the European soccer UEFA championship. And my first answer was like, I'm not the right one. Why are you asking me? I don't have time for that. And then I was thinking about, because it's also not paid. It's like you do promotion and do a lot of work for them and for nothing. So and then I said, I gotta do it. It's a good idea. And that was really great because I was connected with all my heroes, and suddenly I was meeting all these officials from the Deutsche Fußballbund. I was invited to a lot of games, and suddenly I was really close to all my heroes, and finally we got the Euro, and okay, we're not part of it anymore. We lost against Spain, but I'm really into soccer, and I'm really following. And then I was part of the culture program during the soccer tournament in Munich. There was a big culture program with theaters and readings and performances every day, and I was part of that. And I will close the culture program this Sunday in Munich after the final game. Let's say who was Spain against Holland. Let's see. I don't know. England. Sorry, England is still. I hope England will not go to the top, because their performances was one of the baddest performances the whole tournament. I mean, they got a lot of critics in their home country now, how they perform and how they play. And I really don't understand it, and I'm seriously not too enthusiastic that they be in the half final and maybe be at the final and maybe be European champion. With that kind of performance, I really don't support that.
Well, I support Scotland, and we were absolutely terrible. So
yeah, I went to the opening against Germany, and there was a lot of people with traditional Scottish clothes, and it was really great. There were really great people celebrating, even if they lost. And it was, I think, 20,000, 30,000 Scottish people or more in Munich celebrating to be be qualified and partying. It's really friendly, really well. Everybody loved them, even if they lost, they were still celebrating. Really, really, really great people, and very, very, they how can you say, they made a great picture about how to celebrate football even if you lose, and how to be come with this traditional clothes. Everybody loved it.
Do you find, is there like a link between football and dance music for you? Does it kind of raise similar emotions? Does it make you feel the same?
Of course, you get emotional in a soccer game. I get emotional as well when I be there and watching it live. But there's many similarities. But I would. How can I connect? Yeah, I think soccer was already into more than only sports in the early 80s, when soccer was not really popular. It was just a game for soccer fans. Now it's becoming like a mass product for many people all around the world. It's one of the biggest sports in the world now, and every day you can watch games. And I was playing soccer myself, and not on a top level, but I was always, one story. I was always DJing on the weekend. And that's my soccer connection. Maybe that's a good example. I was DJing in Berlin in a club called Kraftwerk, and there was a game in Munich on the next day in the morning or midday. And I said, I don't want to cancel the DJ show performance, and I don't want to leave my friends or my team not playing there in this tournament. So I played the set. I didn't went to sleep. I went to the airport, take the first flight, and I went on the field and played with my team without sleeping.
Wow.
So I had the night with people until the after hour till 6 o'clock. At 8 o'clock I went to the airport. At 10 o'clock I was playing a 90 minutes game with my team. So that was my special connection with soccer. It was so important to me. So I said, I can sleep the next day, but this day, Saturday, Sunday, I will just not sleep, and I celebrate soccer and I celebrate the nightlife. That's my connection with soccer. I think that explains a lot.
Yeah. So you talked earlier about you working on an album with Jonathan Mesa.
On what?
You're working on an album with
Jonathan Mesa. Yeah.
Jonathan. Sorry, that's poor pronunciation.
Yeah.
I was wondering, where are you at musically at the moment?
Good question. I think that's an issue I have, because sometimes people ask me to play electroclash stuff and older stuff and newer stuff. That's, sometimes I play house sets, sometimes I play techno festivals. So it's difficult for the promoters and the booking agency to see me in one direction. So I always try to combine all these musical genres in one set, but that's pretty much not something that promoters or on festivals looking for. They want on a techno set, they want on a techno floor, they want the techno DJs, so I'm more coming from the club side and combine all these genres in one night, like play longer sets and start with some house track, then get into acid, then get into Detroit, and it went harder, and in the end of the night I play some whatever trance music if you want. So I was never limited to some genres. I always try to bring everything together. And at the end, I always say that's the Gigolo sound. That's the Gigolo music. Because people were asking, what is it, what you play? And I said, that's Gigolo music. That's the sound of Gigolo. That's the church of Gigolo. So, recently I play a lot of indie dance, electroclash sounding stuff. I think two favorite producers now one is called Scatman, and the other is Tal Fussman. He did a remix of my last single. I think this direction. I really like what Innovision is doing, or what people like Keine Musik and me, Rampa. They're really good friends from back in the days. And I also like a lot people in the techno scene. I like a lot of people in the house scene, indie dance, electro, old school scene. So I try to combine all this, also like a gothic EBM, pretty popular again. And so, it depends what club, what festival, what country, what stage. So I prepare that and try to connect with the people. I can't say I play this or that. It's like always. I play every genre. I try.
And what ambitions do you still have? I mean, you've done so much.
Mm-hmm.
What ambitions do you still have? Things you want to achieve?
I mean, since 2 years, it's funny to say, but I promote my past. I'm gonna sell my past. So there is film directors asking me to do a documentation about my life, and it's gonna be in the cinemas. Like Carl Craig's documentation is out at the Tribeca Film Festival, or Laurent Garnier did a documentation about his life. So I'm working on that documentation, like a film documentation. It's one thing. Then another thing is I'm working on a biography about my life, and it's also in the pipeline this book about my life, from the early days. Like, it will be including a lot what we talked about it now, and another very important thing is I'm gonna release a photo book with all my photo shoots for the fashion industry, for press photos, for working with great artists, and there's hundreds of photos, and I'm gonna release this photo book hopefully this year, and this is also in the middle of doing it. And I'm doing this album with this painter and his mother. Then I have many tracks done, never released, because I was in the studio a lot and doing new music, and and there's many projects laying on the table, but I need to find time and then bring it out on the street. It's so many things. I also design sunglasses that was released this year. So people always ask me to design things, and now people ask me to do like soundtrack for a movie. It's coming hopefully in 2 years, because movie projects always like taking 3 to 5 years. So I'm involved in that as well, for creating the soundtrack. And I'm also asked for doing music for theaters. And it's a top 50 list I like to do, I never touched, and I gonna jump on it. So there's always things going on at the same time, and that keeps me busy and keeps me alive, I think. Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic thing.
I hope so. Yeah. So many things, so I'm like an artist. I always think in a creative way, and I'm always try to step on new things, on new roads or new flavors. And that never ends. It never ends. I will do this to the last days in my life,
You're listening to Radio Primavera Sound, proudly presented by Cupra.